This is just another video I wanted to make. Bit of a rant, kind of like the other one. It's about this idea that there was the 2020 election in the United States and some sort of irregularities. This is just my personal take on them. It's something of a rant, something of an, okay, look, I do have a political science degree. This is what I think really happened and what went on. Now, here's the map of the official results as we've seen them. And we've seen them for years and years. Now, yes, of course, 2020 was an unusual election. One can't deny that because, of course, the pandemic forced a lot of counties and a lot of states to do a lot of unusual things. And this is where a lot of these allegations of fraud and whatever else come in. Now, it should be noted that, of course, these are... Okay, we'll get back to that a bit later. I've got a bit ahead of myself. So right now, these are the actual statistics from the U.S. Census Bureau and the Federal Elections Commission about the election of 2020. Who voted how and how many votes were for whom. This doesn't include minor candidates, third party, fourth party, whatever. Now then, here's what we went ahead and these are the statistics from 2016, the last election prior to the pandemic and the last sort of normal election, although it wasn't because there was a little bit more participation than typical because of interest in one of the particular candidates. And these were sort of notable, famous people candidates. So what I went ahead is reran the election of 2020 controlling for the messaging by assuming the percentages of voters that would vote for a particular candidate would be the same as they were in 2020, just using the methods that they used to vote in 2016. What we see from that is there is still a significant advantage even in the traditional voting that is going to an actual polling station, doing your two forms of identification, matching addresses and all that, for the Joseph Biden candidate. A total vote is not all that different. Now these of course ignore any sort of irregularity or any sort of whatever else funniness that happens because of the Electoral College, which the United States persists in. This is just the popular vote, but because we are controlling for everything else, we must assume that the Electoral College votes would be essentially the same, and the distribution would be essentially the same. We are controlling for everything else except method of voting. Now then, we have a couple of experiments we conducted, and this is, again, a comparison of the 2020 election using the numbers of participants in that election voting in the same ways they did in 2016, except with different candidates, assuming the messaging was the same. So we control for the messaging, we only permit the difference to be the method of voting, and we still see here a victory for Joseph Robinette Biden. Now, what we're coming to here is the ultimate conclusion. Is this election, or was the election of 2020 some sort of a stolen election? Was it fraud? Well, what our statistics show is that there was not fraud in a statutory sense. What is fundamentally being argued by the other side is that these public safety precautions that were put in place because of the pandemic effectively threw the election for one candidate over the other, that they unfairly benefited one candidate. There is no actual fraud apart from the implementation of these public safety measures. Now then, Even if you take out, as we've done in our further statistics, if you're interested in seeing those, we can certainly provide those in a second video. Even if we control for that and take out the voting by mail, voting early, there is still a clear victory for Joseph Biden. The only way to create a victory for Donald Trump is to make individual decisions about the validity of one ballot over another. The statistics bear these facts out, even if they are run using the 2016 numbers. Controlling, again, of course, for the messaging, assuming that each candidate is able to convince the same number of people as they did in 2020. That's all. Thanks very much. That's all I've got for today, and goodbye.